Good morning, everyone. Today, let us talk about Singapore's art scene. Before we begin, I'd like to request everyone to take a couple of seconds to think about what comes to your mind when somebody asks you to describe Singapore's art scene. I'm sure many of you will be struggling to think of something else besides the National Art Gallery. How about describing what represents Singapore? Are we just a global city with towering skyscrapers? Is that all there is in Singapore? Is that a true representative of Singapore? What about the people, the residences, our culture, and our heritage? With more than 80% of Singaporeans living in the HDB flats, these neighborhoods have plenty of stories to be told. Sadly, many of them have already been lost and forgotten. Have you forgotten about the traditional houses in Joo Chiat Street, which used to house the British who colonized us? Have you forgotten that Holland Village used to be a cemetery for the Hakas, instead of the bustling street peppered with bars as we know of today? Fortunately, there's still a glimpse of hope, as a handful of brave souls decided to put their hearts and soul into rescuing our dying art scene.
So this is where O Open House comes in. O is an art walkabout where we bring art out of museums and galleries, and where we also take people to explore real-life homes that have been transformed by artists. So the past walkabouts include Tiong Bahru, Marina Bay Financial Centre, Joo Chiat, and also the most recently concluded edition at Holland Village. So here's a short clip of some of the past editions of O.
O Open House is an art walkabout. We take people to explore the neighborhood, and the best part has always been being able to step into real-life homes that have been transformed by artists. It's our way of exploring Singapore, one step at a time, one neighborhood at a time.
我也是很高兴他们来观赏这种屋子，给他们明白以前的屋子的建筑跟现在的不一样。
When I think about Joo Chiat, actually the only thing that comes to mind is Peranakan food. So tours like Open House actually gives you a chance to really go deep into the community, the culture here, and to really get to learn a bit more.
Joo Chiat has a great reputation in town for having a lot of depth of culture and history in Singapore, and this has just given me an opportunity to experience that firsthand. I have to say I'm really loving this space right here. I mean, this very, meditative, thoughtful spot.
When I left Ying Ting's old house, I had a very, very heavy heart. I've been inside that house. It was a living thing where creativity was made in the basement. I think we have really lost something that we'll never be able to gain back.
My favorite part of Joo Chiat is this particular old red light district. The artwork, it was about depressive impression. You can be in any hotel room everywhere in the world. They're everywhere the same. They're not very individual, which I think suits this part of town as well.
Joo Chiat is a no man's land because we started off seeing very nice residential houses, and it ends in a completely different environment where there are like pubs and bars.
It's a very stark message because these are back alley happenings that you would not ever see in your life otherwise.
O is about redefining everyday spaces and challenging perceptions about where art can and cannot exist. O started in 2009 as just an art walkabout, and by 2014 they have grown into a non-profit art organisation. However, this not-for-profit model is highly unsustainable, and the reasons include firstly, restrictions on the budget that O can work with, as well as the manpower that they are able to hire. So the actual event operations are highly dependent on volunteers as well, so that includes everything from the walkabout guides to the homes in which the works are placed in. As such, O has to consistently do open calls for volunteers every year to ensure that the event can be run smoothly. Like most other art organizations in Singapore, O is highly dependent on funding from institutions such as the National Arts Council. So these grants are already very competitive to receive, and on top of that, the NEC just made an announcement that they would be cutting funding for current recipients of these grants. This is very likely to affect O strongly, as seen from how they were forced to stop the event in 2010 due to the lack of sufficient funding. So there is thus this need to revitalize O Open House, and Alyssa, Luisa and Chinwen will be talking more about our plans to do so through changes in the pricing strategy.
I will now talk about our recommendations for O. We separated these into two phases. I will cover the first two parts of phase 1, and Luisa will finish up with our recommendations for this phase. Chinwen will cover our recommendations for phase 2. So for phase 1, our recommendations are implementations to O's current tour offering. First up will be our market communications. In order to promote O art tours, we will conduct free fringe events before the actual tour periods to generate hype and awareness. These fringe events are usually held after the tours, but having them before would better suit our aim of promoting these tours. And these free events will be publicized via social media, as well as traditional media, such as radio. We also plan to have a short video showcasing the man-hours and effort involved in organizing this event and stories collected about each neighborhood. This video will provide a sneak peek of the event and highlight the value of this event, and can be circulated via social media platforms, again like Facebook, as well as traditional media platforms. Now for our tour prices. The current price of the tour is $25 for everyone. What we propose is to have a regular price of $60. We will then offer discounts to different groups of people. Our repeat customers will have a special price of $35. This offer will be circulated to them via email once the dates of our event are out. This way, we reduce the churn rate and encourage our repeat customers to come back because of their exclusive discount. We will also have VIP tours limited to 2 tours per event and about 10 to 15 packs per tour. These tours will be marketed as premier events where guides will be the actual artists or curators and can lend insight into these artworks better than any volunteer can. These VIP tickets also include special merchandise for each guest. We will also be charging local Singaporeans $35 instead of the regular $60. This is because locals have a lower willingness to pay when it comes to art events, and we believe that this $25 discount is a big enough differential to them. Senior citizens and students can also have a further discounted rate at $25, another form of third-degree price discrimination or concessionary charges. Tours will be free for children under 7.
To communicate the value of our offering, we introduce Value Bundle to our guests. They can choose between a la carte prices, where they purchase the zines at $15, or other merchandisers at $20 and above, without going for the art tour. For guests who have opted for our art tour, the zines will be complimentary, while other merchandisers such as the t-shirt, the badges and the tote bags, it will be at 10% discount. Differentiating the a la carte and bundle pricing gives the impression of a better deal when you purchase the art tour tickets. Next, our group identified constraints in O's operations. Currently, they run the tours on 3 weekends in March, both Saturday and Sunday, for only 4 hours from 3 to 7 p.m. For this year's tour at Holland Village, it is a 2 45 minutes guided tour with 1 free and easy tour. And this tour can actually take up to 3 or even 4 hours. So this is really crazy. Imagine walking 3 to 4 hours non-stop in the museum. Will you be left feeling lethargic and exhausted? What about the movie that is 3 hours long? Would you remember most of the details? Our team, we were at Holland Village Open House this year, and we observed that many of them come back looking tired. Hence, our group proposed expanding the capacity in terms of the opening hours from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m, perhaps 10 a.m. to 1 p.m, before starting the tour again from 3 to 7 p.m. This allows our volunteers to have a rest and take a break too, as we do not want the art experience to be dampened by the long tour duration. We suggest shortening it to a maximum of 2 hours. Another thing to note is that O Open House reserves 50 tickets for walk-in guests daily, but these tickets are purchased by guests who were unable to secure their tickets online due to the sold-out situation. It is also unlikely for passers-by to attend a paid and ticketed event. Thus, our team feel that these 50 tickets can actually be converted into an auction model, so the guests who actually value this art tour most will get those 50 tickets. Now, Chinwen will introduce our Phase 2 recommendations.
Phase 2 of our proposal will require further planning and liaising with external parties. This will require us to make some changes to the OH tour. Phase 2 is less of a priority due to the restrictions of our budget and manpower. Our proposed idea is to go into B2B group sales. We will target corporate groups and tailor a storyline of the OH tour as requested by them. For example, we can work with the Deutsche Bank, who is a regular sponsor of the event, encouraging them to come as a group to appreciate the local artwork. The tour would also serve as a bonding session for the attendees. For corporate group tours, our pricing would increase up to $100 per pax, where it is a VIP package that includes a range of merchandise. Next, we want to bundle the tour with offerings that are unique to the location of the event, creating an all-rounded experience for the visitors. Such offerings would include art and craft workshops and neighborhood restaurants. For example, this year's event was held at Holland Village. We could work with cafes and set up cultural workshops for the visitors near the area. Of course, the offerings will have to be made unique by the historical culture of the place. We hope that our proposed ideas would help OH Tour solve the challenges they face right now and at the same time improve the art scene in Singapore. Thank you for listening to our presentation.